Smoger. And now on the line, the WBC interim title and Ring Magazine's World Championship. 12 rounds of boxing. This is in the lightweight division. Fighting out of the blue corner, wearing black, official weight, 134 3/4 pounds. His professional record, 25 victories, including 14 knockouts with only 2 defeats. From Michoacan, Mexico, Jose Armando Santa Cruz. And his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the red corner, wearing white with black, official weight, 134 pounds. His professional career, 34 victories. Only 3 defeats, 1 bout even, and he has 21 career knockouts. Originally from Cuba, now living, training, and fighting out of Miami, Florida. The former WBC lightweight world champion and recognized by Ring Magazine as the defending world champion, Joel Casamayor.
Hey, Jimmy. Joey.
All right, gentlemen, you were given your instructions both in Spanish and English. Please obey my commands, respect the bell, and above all, protect yourself at all times. Prende todo. Toca las manos. Gracias, gracias. Suerte.
Casamayor is the champ. Diaz is the guy. Juan Diaz is the guy everyone wants to watch. Let's see if the champ can make us want to watch him again.
He's been in some amazing fights over the years, but usually because he was in against other tremendously exciting fighters with exceptionally exciting styles, such as Diego Corrales. Casamayor, as you can see, is a southpaw. Fights out of a kind of a tightly style, Emmanuel. Fast hands, but not really a combination puncher.
No, he still, even though he's a long way from that, he still reminds me a lot of some of the Cuban fighters who gets the punch and know how to slide in and out after he gets his punch and looks for a win in a decision more so than a knockout. Very crafty.
It's interesting, despite the height disadvantage and the nature of Casamayor's style, trainer Joe Goosen said yesterday that it isn't necessarily the fight plan to try to get inside and fight Santa Cruz on the inside. There's a reason why, as Santa Cruz lands one left hook over the top. And Casamayor, looking like a guy who's been away for a long time and has ring rust, easily goes down.
Yeah, you look at it, it's more off balance, I think, than anything else. But nevertheless, it's officially a knockdown, and that's a 2-point round.
Unless, of course, Casamayor can dominate the rest of the round.
And win the rest of the round.
Now, since a knockdown has already been scored, it's worth pointing out, and I always do this when Smoger's in the ring as referee. Steve Smoger gives the fighter who's in trouble probably more chances to come back than just about any other guy. Witness, for instance, that Kelly Pavlik got out of the second round against Jermaine Taylor in Atlantic City last month in a fight in which Pavlik was in desperate trouble, and some had thought that he was already headed toward being knocked out by Taylor. Smoger gives you a chance to survive.
He does a good job, I think, sometimes, but sometimes he doesn't. I think that particular fight we're speaking of, he was just waiting on Taylor to land one more, just say, signature punch, which Taylor couldn't land, and as a result, he couldn't really stop that fight justifiably still. So that fight, I thought he did a pretty good job.
I've seen nights when I thought that he was going to let someone get too badly hurt, e.g. a heavyweight named David Izon up in Ledyard, Connecticut many years ago, but ultimately he's been justified because in that situation, for instance, Izon came back and won the fight. Just as Kelly Pavlik did. Between rounds, we're going to show you a replay of the knockdown. It's very interesting to look at because of where the punch landed. I won't give it away, but you'll see it between rounds. Casamayor wears the word cepillo on the front of his trunks. It translates to the brush. And he says that his nickname comes from the fact that his punches brush across the target as he lands them. Santa Cruz landing a couple more solid blows, including a left hook that drove Casamayor back into the ropes. And all in all, I think that was a round that powerfully suggests ring rust for Joel Casamayor.
You come in with your guard up and you come in with straight punches, Don't throw the right hand when he's going that way. You can't afford to do and make those mistakes, you understand? You throw the right hand when he's in front of you. And then you're going to the head a lot. What about here? What about here? Don't go to the head so much.
A couple shots before you get out. Okay? Don't stay in there long right now. Okay? You got to use that llave.
Here you see Casamayor going down without really being hit with a punch on the chin or even in the body, just from actually blocking a punch and losing his balance. But it's controversial about that is the rule is often if you go down from a blow that's above the waist, any part of your body, it can be considered as a knockdown.
CompuBox numbers were almost dead even. Casamayor 10 out of 40. Santa Cruz 10 out of 25, or 45 I should say. Bottom line, Casamayor was not able to do enough to avert the 2-point round, or so it would seem, and that's an early cushion for Jose Armando Santa Cruz.
Well, it's an extra point for a knockdown, but if you think it was an even round, that would be a 10-9 round, and
Good.
you can,
Very
I think,
good.
use your
Bueno.
discretion a little bit in the case of that round. Did not look like a 10-8 round to me, in spite of the knockdown.
I agree with you, Max. It was virtually about a draw round, and the knockdown may have won it, but it wasn't a dominating round by any fighter.
You heard Rudy Hernandez between rounds telling Santa Cruz, don't try to throw your right hand when he is vanishing to his right and getting away from you. Throw the right hand when he's in front of you. Now Casamayor circling to his left, towards Santa Cruz's right hand. Casamayor is throwing punches with his hands, but his feet are still on the defensive.
Yeah, everything about Casamayor is he's like an old veteran fighter trying to throw punches, get out of the way just enough to win a decision, impress the judges, but not seriously trying to hurt anyone.
Watch your heads.
Well, it'll be interesting to see if he warms up and cranks it up and manages to fight more like the old Joel Casamayor as the fight goes on.
Well, every time he finishes up his combination, he finishes reaching and grabbing his opponent for the most part.
Juan Diaz has had impressive victories this year over Acelino Freitas and over another guy with a belt, Julio Diaz. Through it all, experts like Max Kellerman have continued to point out Joel Casamayor is the legitimate champion of the division.
He is, but people who want to watch Diaz have a very good point. Who wants to watch the champ, even if it is the champ, hold the guy? I'd rather watch Juan Diaz, even though he's really the #1 contender, punch at guys.
Because if you haven't seen Juan Diaz out of Houston, Texas, he is a non-stop leather-throwing machine with tremendous will.
I know all of the linear stuff, but as far as I'm concerned, it's hard for me to take the linear stuff and throw it away as I'm concerned, because I cannot look at Casamayor in my mind and look at him and respect him as a champion. But in the line of titles, he is, but I don't look at it. I look at Juan Diaz. He's exciting, he's active, seeing him regular, fighting good quality of fight opponents.
Well, it becomes academic after a while. Who's the champ if no one wants to see him?
Step.
And it's entirely possible that Santa Cruz eliminates the question tonight. Although, of course, having beaten the man, he would then have the right to say, I'm the legitimate champion of this division. All the attention is still flowing for the moment to Juan Diaz.
Trying to outmuscle him, understand? I want you to use your strength to punch. Understand? Continue to stay in front of him with your guard. When you attack him, he's in front of you. He's moving, understand? He's got to be in front of you when you attack. Understand? Right, straight jab, body shots. That's how the punches continue. Don't get carried away. When you walk in, don't get into
Okay? Pero no mucho tiempo en la esquina, pero cuando en la esquina, tú sabes, okay? Más jabs, más hoopers esquina. Cheque los manos arriba y después tu golpe, ¿ok? Al próximo round. Hey.
Come on, Joey.
Round 3 of the scheduled 12. Jose Armando Santa Cruz scored a knockdown of Joel Casamayor in round 1 on a punch that hit Casamayor on his left arm as Casamayor was trying to block the punch. He went down, as Emmanuel Stewart pointed out, bad balance, but it was, from the standpoint of legality, a knockdown. And then in the second round, most of the action came from the long arm punching of Santa Cruz.
Don't punch, step, 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 step. Watch your head. That's it. Good, good.
It's one of those situations, Emmanuel, where you're talking about
Step, step, step.
in Santa Cruz a guy who twice went into Casamayor's camp for an extended period of time and served as a sparring partner for him,
Punch, step, step.
helping to prepare Casamayor for Diego Corrales. This tempts Casamayor, of course, to say, how could he really be a threat to me? He was my sparring partner. Santa Cruz's argument is, hey, I was brought in there to play the role of Diego Corrales. I wasn't even fighting in my own style. Who's right?
It's a lot of times, you know, well, you got to realize that the fighters grow. At one time, he may have been a sparring partner, but he's become a serious fighter. Evander Holyfield made that mistake when he had the first fight with Riddick Bowe. He said, you know, as soon as I put pressure on Bowe, he's going to fall apart like he did when he was my sparring partner when he was an amateur, but that didn't happen. And that's how he misjudged Bowe, and Bowe took his title. But this fight right here, it's, you know, one guy's trying to play it safe, throwing up punches and grabbing clinch and try to steal a decision. The other guy's putting pressure, but most of his punches are looping punches. If he'd shoot more of those shorter punches, he could be more effective.
I mentioned, of course, that Casamayor had a glorious amateur career fighting for Cuba. Santa Cruz had a good amateur career fighting for the United States. At one point, was ranked #1 in the USA at 119 pounds. Lives in Lincoln Heights, very close to east of Los Angeles. Been a lot of fighters in the last 10-15 years who have come out of his area.
Yeah, remember the last 10 seconds. Bring it up.
Can I do that again?
Remember, you got to pressure him. Pressure him. Be sure you're not on the ropes now. Breathe. Keep using the jab now. Use your hook. Your hook is doing real good. Use that hook.
He's going to come and grab. Left hand come up the middle. Understand?
When they speak Spanish in the corners, the interpreter you're hearing for us is Jerry Olaya. Power shots in round 3. Santa Cruz 16 out of 38. Casamayor 4 out of 25. At least in terms of CompuBox numbers, Joel Casamayor seems not yet really to have gotten into the fight. Harold, how do you have it through 3?
Okay, Jim. 3-0, 30-26. Armando Santa Cruz Jim, I don't know. Joe Casamayor seems to me to be doing nothing but holding. If any effective blows are being landed in this fight, it's that right hand of Armando Santa Cruz, which seems to be landing constantly. But I wanted to talk about the knockdown. You know, if you're a judge, you don't really have to judge the effectiveness of a blow. The referee, what you do is you follow the referee's direction. If the referee calls it a knockdown, basically it's a knockdown. Now, if Casamayor would have fought his way back, won the round, you could have gone 10-9 Santa Cruz, but I went 10-8 because Smoker called it a knockdown.
We keep looking for signs that Joel Casamayor is going to change course and become a little bit more resolute, more offensive in the fight. There, for a few seconds, he began to stand his ground.
I think he's going to stay at this pattern as a survival mode for the most of the fight. And at least I'm impressed that Santa Cruz is throwing more shorter, straighter right hands than he was earlier. He's putting a lot of pressure on. He's not the fastest, more accurate puncher in the world himself, but he's applying a lot of pressure.
Casamayor was feeling the top of his head, looking for blood, as obviously he felt that their heads had come together. And now Smoker looks for signs of headbutt, but finds none. And Santa Cruz goes back to throwing his long, rangy, spider-like punches.
Well, that's what he does the best, but he's doing it anyway. At least he's
a low blow by Casamayor right there.
Okay, you well? Okay.
And Smoker saw it.
You all right, babe? You okay?
It's a tough guy to come back against after 13 months off.
Hey, don't punch, that's it.
No, and we were talking, Max, about the fact that Santa Cruz spent 2 long stints in Casamayor camps as a sparring partner prior to 2 of Casamayor fights with Corrales, and that may have lulled Casamayor into thinking he was going to have an easy night.
He's not sparring right now.
And while he's been inactive, this guy's been polishing up his skills.
When we asked trainer Joe Goosen yesterday if he worried about ring rust for Casamayor, he produced a long answer, long and somewhat elliptical, but if you listened carefully, the net sum of it was, yeah. And until a couple of weeks ago, he didn't look all that good. But then Goosen tried to make claim that he thought that Casamayor had gotten it together in the last 2 weeks of training camp. So far, no evidence. Almost 2 hours ago, Miguel Cotto arrived here at Madison Square Garden. He is quite accustomed fighting in New York, having been here in Madison Square Garden each of the last 3 years on the eve of the Puerto Rican Day Parade. Wins over Muhammad Abdullayev, Paulie Malignaggi, and this year, the 11th round knockout of Zab Judah, which was a memorable and violent fight. Miguel Cotto arriving with his 2 young sons a couple of hours ago. During the intervening time, rest assured he has probably spent some time out here in the arena, in the audience, signing autographs, meeting with fans. It's something he loves to do before his fights, Emmanuel, and rather than to distract him, he thinks it relaxes him.
I think it does. I remember a guy named Cassius Clay when he was coming up. He used to always go out and watch his younger brother fight, and it relaxed him. Sometimes being too much alone, in particular in dog rooms, and thinking too much about a fight, is no good. I think it's good to mingle and talk to people a lot of times.
Round 5 between Jose Armando Santa Cruz in the black trunks and Joel Casamayor in the white. CompuBox averages per round through 4. Casamayor only 7 of 39. Santa Cruz 14 out of 45. Pretty clear so far who has been the dominant fighter in this tussle. Still Casamayor trying to find space. And incidentally, the original Garden Ring, the one that Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier fought in 1971, the one that Roberto Duran fought in, the one that a variety of other great fighters have fought in over the years, the one that Judah and Cotto fought in 1909, was dismantled and taken to Canastota, New York, to be shown at the Boxing Hall of Fame. So this is a brand new canvas ring in the center of Madison Square Garden. And Emmanuel, it's a little bit bigger than the old one.
It's a little bit bigger, and also I had the pleasure of going up and moving around in it earlier, and it's a tight ring. The floor is very tight, very hard, which I think in this case may favor Shane Mosley. Normally a softer, padding would, be for the puncher, because the guy couldn't move as much. But this is a fast ring, as we call it.
And I'm sorry I can't resist, Jim, but this canvas is likely to have a masterpiece painted on it a little later on tonight.
In red.
No apology necessary for that, Max. A couple of times a year, and in this particular year, several times, there'll be matchups which have even the most hardened veterans at ringside so excited they can barely breathe. And tonight's is surely one of them.
Get out, get out, get out, get out.
Blood trickling from beside the left eye now of Joel Casamayor. Wonder if one of Santa Cruz's right hands might have caught him up under the eyebrow.
Yeah, Santa Cruz has been very physical, taking advantage of his physical size and his youth, applying a lot of pressure and not letting Casamayor have the space that he really wants.
Casamayor has never been a big puncher, or a particularly big puncher. Tonight his punches are powder puffs, and it's giving Santa Cruz license to do whatever he wants to do in there. Meanwhile, stark contrast. We showed you Miguel Cotto's entrance into the Garden, which was about 2 hours ago. Shane Mosley came in 15 minutes ago. And he's been extremely relaxed in the build-up to the fight. Once again, the demeanor there shows you that Shane feels as though he's in his element, doing what he likes to do. Thrilled to be doing it at a place where he's never fought before. 3 times he fought in the adjoining facility, the theater at Madison Square Garden. But even at age 36 and accomplishing all he's accomplished, Emmanuel, he's never fought in the big house
Never
before.
fought at the Garden itself, right in the big Garden. And this is something that he's excited about too, because he's a guy that's very concerned about history and his role in history.
Round 6 of the scheduled 12. Can Joel Casamayor, after 13 months away from the ring, step it up and put up a more credible show of defending his lightweight championship against Jose Armando Santa Cruz?
The most dominant punch right now in the fight for the last 3 rounds has been the right hand of Santa Cruz, and he's been getting the line, finding with a lot of regularity, and a lot of them are going straight directly down the center, landing right in the nose of Casamayor.
Jose Armando Santa Cruz is way up against David Diaz when he was caught late in the fight, switching between orthodox and southpaw stance, and maybe Casamayor has that in mind.
Casamayor is not that much of a puncher. He's landing some shots.
That was a good left hand.
Yeah. Well, he's going to do that in spots. He's got a lot of savvy, a lot of trickery, a lot of experience. But the pressure that is being put on him is going to, I think, wear him out. He's not going to be able to sustain this pressure that Santa Cruz is putting on him.
And backing up as much as he is, he has to wait for Santa Cruz to give him opportunities. Now, they're flowing fairly freely because Santa Cruz is aggressive and throws long arm punches, leaving himself open from time to time. But Casamayor isn't doing anything to improve his own chances of landing something big.
And he's not punching enough authority to get respect from Santa Cruz, so Santa Cruz would hesitate a step, slow down a step to give him a little bit more space. The way he's punching when he lands punches is very weak punches, and he finishes up clutching.
You know, I don't care if you have knockout power or not. If you're Chris Bird or Arturo Gatti, I like watching them both. I don't like watching guys who hold incessantly.
His way is a clutch hold. Some guys, the tall fighters, you know, when guys get too close to them, they tie them up, then they, you know, break the rhythm, push them back. His is a clutch hold, which is like a fear of trying to just make sure he doesn't get hurt. It's a different type, the way that he holds.
Max, there's a debate in the sport as to whether England's Ricky the Hitman Hatton is an exciting, violent, non-stop fighter or a guy who holds too much. Where are you on that?
Little from column A, little from column B. At his best, he actually holds less. He uses his clinching effectively when he's in tip-top shape. Usually holding with one hand while punching with the other.
Casamayor is doing a lot of two-hand holding here tonight. It's often the longer-armed fighter who gets accused of holding because he winds up entangled with his opponent. Clearly, Casamayor is choosing to do it.
Relax, relax now.
It hasn't changed, Doc. No mueve. No mueve.
Don't move. Don't move. Stay still. Relax. You're doing real good. Keep boxing it. Real good. Come on, he's getting tired. He's spending a lot of energy. Keep boxing him. Keep boxing him. Keep using that jab. Remember, he's keeping his hands down. He's bringing his hands down already.
Put some water on him. In him. No, in his mouth. Keep boxing him nice.
Harold, how do you have it through 6?
Look at you, 6 rounds to nothing, 60 to 53, Armando Santa Cruz. Jim, I don't know. Joel Casamayor is fighting a very, very strange fight. Not only is he holding constantly, he's running away. I mean, if you watch the fight, it's not really circling. It's not, effective aggressiveness or anything like that, or ring generalship. It's just running away. I mean, the guy's just going backwards and backwards and backwards. Santa Cruz is making the fight. He's the aggressor, landing the cleanest, strongest shots. If Casamayor won a round fight, Jim, I haven't seen it. 6 to nothing, Armando Santa Cruz.
Best combination of the fight for Casamayor right there. We're still working on that cut inside the left eye of Casamayor. He lands a good, solid left hand over the top. Moments ago when Santa Cruz hit Casamayor with the right hand, a large dollop of Vaseline flew through the air and almost made it all the way to our announce table. It was one of those tantalizing arcs that you could watch in full flight. Only in boxing.
Casamayor this round has started to put a little more mustard on those shots.
Seems as though he sort of woke up in the last round, but still, Santa Cruz is landing more and throwing more.
I think Santa Cruz is landing more of those straight punches through the center line, particularly with the right jab from that position. Straight punches he's been landing right in the center of the face of Casamayor on a regular basis.
Santa Cruz has switched to southpaw in this round and has landed some straight left-hand shots. This is something we're seeing more and more of, it seems to me, in recent years. Fighters switching southpaw against a southpaw. Miguel Cotto did a lot of it against Zab Judah, trying to set up an angle to land left-hand power punches.
A lot of these guys have amateur backgrounds where they fought a lot of southpaw as amateurs. And then, so it's the first time that they're fighting actually in the southpaw position.
Punch out, punch. Punch, punch.
Now Santa Cruz switches both ways, comes back to the southpaw stance. Remember, as Max Kellerman told you, he was in the middle of exactly that kind of switch when Diaz caught him in the 10th round of Chicago, of a fight that he had dominated almost all the way through the first 9 rounds.
Yeah, but he's not the fastest and most coordinated fighter himself. He's a little on the clumsy side, so he's got to be very careful when he starts switching and he's in the zone where he can be hit.
Can't help it when I look at the staccato action of this fight. Floating around, followed by flurries here and there. And I think of Juan Diaz and the way he pressures opponents. Either one of these guys would have a tough time against the Baby Bull.
He's a fantastic fighter. I mean, any fighter of any era would have some problems with him because of the volume of punches that he punches. And they're short, accurate punches, too.
And you're fucking still trying to catch him with long punches. What the hell are you doing? You fucking hit him when he's close to you. When you have this distance from him, what the hell you reaching? He's way the hell out there. You still feel like you're gonna catch him over there? Huh? You got to continue to stay close to him and keep your guard up. You punch and then you square up. What the hell are you doing squaring up? Keep your fucking guard up, man. One time goes and one stays. You understand? That's the way. Those are the rules. We practice on it for 2.5 months. Right. One goes, one stays. You understand? Stay close to him. That's the only way you're gonna get your punches in. You understand? He holds you. You hit him as hard as you can. I keep telling you over and over again. No. What you're gonna? Should I ask him to slow down a little? Huh? Fucking let those hands go.
Now that was some spirited advice from Rudy Hernandez to Jose Armando Santa Cruz. I love a trainer who isn't afraid to rip his fighter when they might already be up 6 or 7 rounds.
Yeah, but I don't think he can do much more than what he can do. What he's doing already.
He stepped closer and caught Joel Casamayor with a solid left hand, still fighting out of that southpaw stance. I guess that's okay with Rudy Hernandez.
I think Rudy's thinking about David Diaz knockout.
And he should be, the way Santa Cruz was getting careless and loosey-goosey in that last round. Now a chastened Jose Armando Santa Cruz labors to try to get closer to Joel Casamayor.
Casamayor holding again moments ago. You know, there is a time for holding. Kelly Pavlik did it to great effect against Jermaine Taylor when he was in serious trouble. You can excuse it then when it's for survival. But if Casamayor's holding all fight, that means he's surviving all fight and he can't possibly be winning, nor worth watching.
He eats a left and a right hand and then studiously walks away. Santa Cruz has done a much better job of keeping his balance and disciplining his positioning in this round.
Yeah, and he's landing a lot of punches too.
And walking through everything Casamayor lands.
Yes, Casamayor can punch. He's running away when he does punch. He doesn't punch hard anyway. And what little power he would have, he takes that away because he's trying to punch and get out of the way at the same time.
Or holding.
Punch, step. Very good, Joel. Muy bueno.
Well, if other fighters pay attention to the things that Joel Casamayor has said about them in print and on the web over the course of the past year, there are probably a half dozen guys out there who are pretty satisfied tonight seeing him get his comeuppance, at least up to this point in the fight. He ripped Manny Pacquiao. He ripped Juan Diaz. He called Julio Diaz a terrible fighter. He's had nothing but abuse to heap on all the people he isn't fighting while sitting out in anticipation of this.
He's trying to talk his way into a big payday. He's 36 years old, and as we mentioned, he's been off for over a year. Trying to talk his way into a big payday, which is great. It's fine. It works if you also fight. And we know Casamayor is capable of fighting. And maybe this is the best he has given his age and his layoff, but this is not enough.
If you look, he doesn't really have a defense so much, and he does this. He hopes his head is out of the way. He doesn't slip punches. He doesn't even pick punches with his hands. He just moves around the ring and hope that he's out of range and don't get hit. He doesn't have good defense at all for his head position.
Look, listen to me. 9, 10, 11, 12. You got 4 rounds. I need you to win every round. Okay, here's what you got to do, Joel. On the inside, get a few more shots. You're good enough on the inside to get a couple short shots before you get out. Where's the water? Okay, good. You got to keep that jab going up and down. You got to confuse him a little bit. You got to find a way to get that straight left hand on.
For him to fucking from here to the next corner. You understand?
He knows that.
You look like worse than a damn amateur.
Here you see exactly what I was saying at the end of the round. The fact that he doesn't have really much of a defense. He just hopes that he's out of range. But for his head movement, he's very little head movement. And he just gets hit with punches when he goes back, particularly with a guy with long arms when he thinks he's out of range and those long arms reach out and still hit him.
I love the matter-of-fact administrations in the corner. of Joe Goosen. There is no trainer who can make his point so effectively without raising his voice, without showing any urgency, just simply stating to the fighter what's going on. Hey, 9, 10, 11, 12, you've got 4 rounds left. Now, for starters, you've got to win all 4 of those rounds. Has there ever been a greater piece of corner audio than Joe Goosen saying to Diego Corrales in the 10th round of his first fight with Jose Luis Castillo, after Corrales had been down twice, well, you'd better bleeping get inside on him now. As though it was Wednesday afternoon in the gym.
I can think of one.
What would that be?
Well, for 10 rounds, Emmanuel Stewart said nothing to Naseem Hamed against Paul Ingle. I think it was about 10 rounds. Finally, he had enough. He got up on the stool and said, throw a straight left hand and we all go home. Naseem Hamed threw a straight left hand that round and everyone went home.
You remember, I was not supposed to be a corner. I was brought in as a cut man for that fight to help him. And I just said something finally after he was losing the title. They asked me, did I have any ideas? But other than that, I wouldn't have said anything on it. I was a cut man.
That Goosen advice was Stewart-esque.
I also liked Emmanuel going berserk against Lennox Lewis in Memphis because Lewis wasn't throwing the knockout right hand to go ahead and finish Mike Tyson when Emmanuel didn't want to worry about the situation any further.
I was worried. I still had flashbacks from that House Rockman fight still with one punch.
And I think that in the corner, Hernandez, his trainer, remembers the Diaz fight and is having flashbacks to that, and that's why he's being so stern with Jose Armando.
I agree. Hard left hand by Santa Cruz. Joel Casamayor, once a slick defender, is getting hit flush by a lot of shots that he ought to see coming.
Yeah, he just his legs, his timing is off a lot now. He slips very few punches. 70% of his defense is just hoping he's out of range.
And that's not real defense.
Yep. No, it's not.
Unless, of course, you're a genius artiste, like Muhammad Ali at his peak, or Roy Jones at his peak, able irrationally to duck away from punches
and that is
pulling their head straight backward.
Yeah, and he doesn't have that. Those guys had upper body movement. It was just not pulling the head back, twisting their weight, stepping back with their legs. He don't have that.
There was another perfect example. Santa Cruz loading up a long left hand, throwing it from 3 feet away, and Casamayor just watching it land on his face.
He'd really be in trouble if he was in with a fighter that punched like Manny Pacquiao. Even though Manny is in a smaller weight, and Manny would have destroyed him by now.
Well, hate to be repetitive, but I think Juan Diaz would have beaten his cheeks to a bloody pulp.
If you don't fucking bring down that fucking head, you're fucking end up paying the fucking price. You understand? Understand? You continue to fucking do this, and all the fucking work that you put in, goddamn it, you're gonna fucking lose it. You keep that fucking head down and you fucking attack it. And you make sure that every fucking punch that you go with, you stick your hand in it.
Bring your hands up, he's throwing hooks.
When he's throwing the left hand, he's keeping his right hand, right hand. Okay? Okay, güey?
Keep your hands up. You have to keep it up. Remember that. Because you're catching him.
I need him to get stronger now. I need this to be your strongest 3 rounds.
Rudy Hernandez is going to make a name for himself tonight, or maybe get a part in the revival of Deadwood. Harold, how do you have it through 9?
Okay, Jim. 8-1, 89, 81, Magno Santa Cruz. I mean, Jim, I don't know. I gave Joe Casamayor round 7. When I thought he landed some nice left hands in between doing all that holding. But basically, Joe Casamayor just running away and holding. Magno Santa Cruz landing all the clean, effective shots, mostly straight left hands, and that good lead right hand. From the southpaw stance. He's just landing the better punches. He is the aggressor. You can't take that away from him. 8-1, Mando Santa Cruz. One quick thing, Jim. Max was right. If you get hit on the jaw, you can grab. There's no doubt about it. But if you're going to hold, just the hold so you won't get hit, that's illegal. The referee should say something.
There should be a rules change in boxing. If you clinch without taking a punch 3 or 4 or some determined number of times in a round, you should start getting warnings and eventually points taken off. Although It's not as though Casamayor's grabbed more than we've ever seen.
Yeah, but clinching is a part of boxing for tall fighters. You look at the great fighters, Muhammad Ali, Sugar Ray Robinson, Lennox Lewis, and all the tall fighters are part. When a short guy gets in too close where he cannot function as effectively, he ties him up and pushes him back at a distance. But excessive clutching, I call it a clutch clinch, is a different type.
Vladimir Klitschko?
And Vladimir, yes. And it's a part of tall fighters boxing. I mean, throughout history, Gene Tony, all of them.
Muhammad Ali would clinch after landing a 5-punch combination when a guy was coming in on him. That's a little different than Emmanuel, as you said, initiating a clinch before you've thrown a punch.
Both hands is reaching out to grab someone. Both open arms.
Casamayor, as though he's listening to us, provides the textbook demonstration of the two-handed grab.
Stay up, baby.
As good a job as Rudy Hernandez has done with this young fighter, I got to tell you, I don't think I would encourage somebody as gangly and long-armed and basically coordination shy as Santa Cruz to be switching feet and going southpaw to conventional.
I agree with you, Jim. It's definitely something maybe a fast, quick fighter can do that's well coordinated, like a Roy Jones or something like that. Shane Mosley, but definitely not for a slow, uncoordinated, comparatively type gangly kid like this.
You know, meanwhile, guys, this is for the lineal lightweight championship, and at this moment, if the fight were to end right now, Jose Armando Santa Cruz is your new lightweight champion. And how'd you like to see him fight? Forget about a David Diaz rematch. How about a Juan Diaz fight?
I'd like to see anybody fight Juan Diaz.
I'd like to see Juan Diaz get a chance to become the titular champion of the division. Benji Esteves is giving final instructions to the two fighters for the main event.
I have to speak something because I know when I go over to the Mosley corner, they're going to be concerned with a couple of events that happened in your past bouts. Okay, about the low blows and watch coming in with the head. Basically, I know you're a very clean fighter, and as far as I'm concerned, we're starting to scratch today. So I don't want to base you on your past, but I will be aware of the low blows, and I just want a clean match from you. Okay? Do you have any questions? That's all I want from you. Angelito, you're in charge of the corner, right? Okay, so if I have any problem with your fight or anyone in your corner, and you don't take care of it, I'll have to take care of it, okay? So I just want to wish you luck, and que gane el mejor hombre. Good? Thank you.
Score one for the Mosley camp. They have gotten into the head of referee Benji Esteves. You heard him say to Miguel Cotto, basically, I think you're a very clean fighter, but I do want to tell you that I'm conscious of low blows. That's definitely a response, it seems to me, Emmanuel, to all the discussion Jack Mosley has put up about low blows in the wake of Cotto landing 2 of them in the first and third rounds in his fight with Zab Judah in June.
Yeah, that's been the heart of every conversation that you have with the Mosley, particularly Jack. He's continually harped on that, the low blows. And I thought that the blows in the one, but mainly the last fight, which was Zab Judah, I thought one of them may have been really a low on purpose, and the other one I thought was accidental. A lot of times the guy starts a body punch, and the opponent may pull his head down that would accidentally make the punch straight low. And sometimes the way that the opponent may be blocking, pushing his elbows down, will force the punch to go low.
And Max, would you agree with me that the expression on Cotto's face there was something to the effect of, could we at least start the fight before you begin talking to me about low blows?
The expression on Cotto's face always kind of scares me. He looks stone cold. It doesn't help that Cotto's so honest, and when asked about it, his response has been, hey, I'm going to do whatever it takes to win a fight. So he's kind of playing right into Jack Mosley's hands with that response. Though you have to applaud his honesty about his dishonest tactics in the past.
Interesting piece of language. I'll do whatever it takes to win the fight. Mosley has referred to the low blow that Felix Trinidad famously threw in the 4th round against Fernando Vargas, seconds after Vargas had knocked him down with a left hook. And I remember once hearing a story about Oscar De La Hoya saying that if he could tell Vargas anything about Felix Trinidad, he would tell him that Felix would do anything he could or anything it took to win the fight. Is it a Puerto Rican mentality? I think it's a mentality for most prize fighters.
Competitive mentality.
No, just unusual that the last 2 big stars from Puerto Rico both getting reputations for landing low blows. And in Trinidad, it did seem when he was hurt with by Vargas, it did look like that was obviously a low blow and a powerful low blow too.
And a purposeful low blow.
Yeah, and it was not an easy one to take either.
And look at Casamayor leaning all the way back under the top rope as Santa Cruz continues to go after him with both hands. Round 11 has looked much like its predecessors. Casamayor backing up and taking leather from the more active, more accurate Jose Armando Santa Cruz.
Great, step, guys. Bell's gonna ring. Step.
Last round. Cannot afford to get careless. Understand? Cannot afford to get careless.
Last one. We touch it. Come on, stop bitching. That's what we're trying to do.
Hands up. What the fuck is this? Riendas con la pinche carota. Okay, no quiero ver la carota. Por favor, just keep your fucking chin down. Cierrate la mano, pídelo. Piensa ahí para área, two punches. No quiero que vayas a buscarle. ¿Entendió? Así encerradita.
Away from the rope for the last 30 seconds.
Quítate afuera de las cuerdas, ¿ok?
Okay. I need you to hit him some on the inside.
Here's a look at Casamayor ducking back under the top rope.
This is one of the few times I've ever saw this actually happen in a fight. It happens in the gym sometimes, but it shows the coordination that Casamayor has in terms of defense and the lack of coordination to some degree on the part of Santa Cruz.
Nevertheless, Santa Cruz seems safely ahead in the fight as we arrive at round 12, on his way to becoming the lightweight champion of the world by beating the guy who is the Ring Magazine champion of the world and has been the linear lightweight champion despite having been out of the ring for 13 months since his last fight with Diego Corrales in October of 2006. That's Joel Casamayor in the white trunks.
You know how it's going to be difficult for true fight fans to look at Santa Cruz as the ring champion of the world, especially when he hasn't been even known that much to a lot of the big fans, and then to look at Juan Diaz as just the #1 contender.
Look, when Sonny Liston was the #1 contender and Patterson was the champ, everyone knew Liston would be Patterson, but you know what? Until he did it, Patterson was the champ.
And there were some, even in the federal government, who went so far as to ask Patterson not to fight Liston so that the ex-con, regarded as a surly, difficult presence for the sport, wouldn't get a chance to become the flag bearer. And Patterson, to his great credit, said, if I'm a champion, it's my job to fight the best challenger, and he clearly is.
In the case of Juan Diaz, as the #1 challenger, he may find that he feels compelled to fight the champ because it would be Diaz giving Cruz the shot, Santa Cruz the shot.
Well, this is what happens in the alphabet soup.
Yes, indeed.
I don't know if I still agree with the criticism that there are too many weight classes. I think the boxing public has adjusted to the weight class change over the years. But certainly 4 governing bodies, 4 belts in every division, that's a mess and causes great confusion.
Yeah, you know, also, I think it's good sometimes having, to some degree, all of these weight divisions, which a lot of people say it shouldn't be, but I think there's enough fighters out here. And then, especially with guys trying to starve to make weight, you know, 160, 168, I think it's okay. And I think having these organizations to some degree is bad, some degree is good, because sometimes, like the Patterson-Sonny Liston case, the guy have to wait maybe 4 or 5 years to get a shot. But if that's one champion, but if it's 2 or 4 other champions, he'll fight one of the other championships.
Well, right now in one of the classic 8-weight divisions, the lightweight division, the lineal championship appears to about to be changing hands.
10 seconds to go until Jose Armando Santa Cruz of Lincoln Heights, California will probably be in a position to call himself the lightweight champion of the world.
fight, guys. Good fight.
Crowd seems a little nonplussed that someone would actually pick Casamayor up and carry him around the ring after a showing like that. And then belatedly, Santa Cruz's cornermen seem to figure, well, we should do so too. Certainly Harold Letterman agrees with us that the title appears headed toward changing hands.
Oh, shit, that's cool. Don't worry about it.
And one of the reasons that we are secure in suggesting that Santa Cruz is going to win this decision without having seen the numbers so far is what happened all the way back in round number 1. When Santa Cruz landed this left hand against the left elbow of Casamayor, and Casamayor, coming back from a 13-month layoff, fell onto his trunks. Officially, a knockdown. Judges, Frank Lombardi of Connecticut, only 3 title fights. Ruiz over Galata by a point. Recent notable fight, that was several years ago. This is a noteworthily inexperienced judging crew. Ron McNair of New York. Tony Paolillo, 3 title fights, and had Bert Galata draw. He's also one of the judges who had Vernon Forrest beating Ike Quartey in the theater at Madison Square Garden in what was for most a controversial decision. Joe Goosen and Joel Casamayor back together after an absence of several fights, and maybe it didn't turn out the way they wanted. As we wait for the decision, let's let you know, incidentally, that there's still one more fight to go before the main event between Shane Mosley and Miguel Cotto, and it could be a good one. And quickly now, let's go up to Michael Buffer, who has the official decision in hand.
Ladies and gentlemen, we go to the scorecards. Frank Lombardi scores the bout 114-113 for Casamayor. Tony Paolillo scores it 114-113 for Santa Cruz. And Ron McNair scores it 114-113 to the winner by split decision, Joel Casamayor.
Just when you think you've seen everything, just when you think you've seen decisions so bizarre that you'll never see anything worse than that again, along comes something like this. Is it even possible?
You know, I'm saying, yeah, I'm so shocked. You consider the 2-point round, the first round, for aggressiveness, for clean punches and everything. This is what's hurting boxing.
Harold, do you have any plausible explanation for what just happened here?
Boy, I got to tell you something, Jimmy. That's a tough decision to explain. I mean, this guy did nothing but hold. And obviously, you know, Steve Smoger didn't do much to stop him from holding. You know, he held and held and held, never even got a warning. If anybody did the clean punch, it was Armando Santa Cruz. I mean, very, very tough decision to explain. I got to tell you, Joel Casamayor, he's in a lot of controversies. He steals a lot of fights, and certainly tonight I think he stole another one.
You know, this is being polite, trying to say it's a tough decision. This is not a tough, it's a bad, disgusting decision.
In the words
that's putting it mildly.
In the words of this Madison Square Garden crowd, boo. That's not just a bad decision. That's an outright robbery. Jose Armando Santa Cruz should be the new lightweight champion of the world, and he was just robbed.
It was dreadful. I wish I had a stronger word. Still the